I'm excited for this show. You guys have no idea what I'm going to talk about, and you're going to love it. I'm going to blow your minds today. It's going to be so good. I've been excited for this. So the way I want to start this is Kyle Shanahan is a lot of things. He's intelligent. He's creative. He's confident. He's extremely honest, but he is not subtle. Subtlety is not in his bag of tricks. That's all I'm going to say. All right, moving on. This was brought to my attention last night. I'm not taking credit for this find because it's amazing. But I'm also not going to say who told me because it was private. And if that person would like to take credit, you're free to tweet it, come in the chat section, whatever, and say this was me. I'm not gonna reveal the source, although it's not that explosive, but it was private. So I'm gonna say this was brought to my attention. I'm not taking credit, but it's amazing. So anyway, month and a half ago, Connor Orr, staff writer at Sports Illustrated, where I work, wrote an article about the future of the 49ers and Jimmy G. I didn't think that much of the article at the time. I mean, a lot of people have been writing about Jimmy G, and we all kind of assume that he's a goner, but we don't know for sure. So anyway, this tweet was DM'd to me last night, and I'm going to put it in the chat box. Okay, there it is. Check it out. I'll give you a second. Open it up. What you'll see, it says, 1, a team that won the NFC title game with 8 passing attempts won't miss Jimmy G. 2, Kyle Shanahan would be a very popular coach for any quarterback on the market. Connor Orr on the 49ers future. So that's very specific. You wouldn't really think much of it. You know, Sports Illustrated try to have a grabby title, right? Okay, so very interesting. 7 retweets. 7. That's it. You see that? 7 retweets, 2 quote tweets, 33 likes. Click on the retweets. Click on the retweets. Who retweeted this? Matthew Wagner, I don't know that guy. The Monday Morning Quarterback, sure, that's affiliated with Sports Illustrated. And then there's an interesting one. QB Collective. QB Collective retweeted this. Does that ring any bells? Have you heard of QB Collective? I hadn't heard of it. I had to research. Maybe some of you guys know what QB Collective is. You can go ahead and click on it. If you click on it, it'll bring you to their Twitter feed, and it'll also give you a link to their website, qbcollective.com. Here's what you need to know about QB Collective. The CEO and founder is a guy named Richmond Flowers III. His dad played in the NFL, born in 1947. Richmond III played at Duke, was a wide receiver, was drafted as a wide receiver by the Cowboys, played in the European NFL Europe, and then came back, played for Washington a little bit, and then was an offensive assistant under Mike Shanahan on the same staff as Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, all these guys. He was there. And then Jim Harbaugh hired Richmond Flowers III as an offensive assistant. So he's been here before. Anyway, he's very close with the Shanahans. If you go to qbcollective.com, what it is, it's basically Richmond Flowers teaching the top high school quarterbacks in the country how to play pro-style quarterback in systems like Sean McVay's, Kyle Shanahan. He says, look, I know these guys. I know what they're looking for. I can school you in a way that will make you appealing to these type of offensive coordinators. If you go on his website, the first pictures you'll see is Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay. They have NFL position coaches who work for them at the QB Collective. Mike LaFleur, 49ers passing game coordinator. Mike McDaniel, 49ers run game coordinator. Shane Day, 49ers quarterback coach. So the 49ers position coaches, 3 of them, and 2 lesser coordinators work for the quarterback collective. They work together. And this Richmond Flowers guy goes way back with the Shanahans. He is one of 7 people who retweeted this article. So I don't know. I have no idea if they're related, if they've been talking, but all I got to say is, as I said at the beginning, Kyle Shanahan is not subtle at all. And I'm not connecting any dots. I'll let you guys do that. QB Collective retweeted it. Okay. As if you needed any more confirmation that Jimmy Garoppolo ain't coming back next year. I think that's all you need to know. The guy who runs the quarterback factory for Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay said, retweeted a tweet and an article that said a team that won the NFC title game with 8 passing attempts won't miss Jimmy G, and Kyle Shanahan would be a very popular coach for any quarterback on the market. Guys, forget Jimmy G. He's gone. You might like Jimmy G, but the worst kept secret in the league, I believe, is that Kyle really don't. You think I'm hard on Jimmy? Whew. I imagine Kyle's much saltier about that topic. So I hope you guys found that kind of interesting. Not subtle at all. I get the feeling that Kyle's the kind of guy who tells how he really feels to anyone who will listen off the record, and people like this. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to stop speculating. I'll let you guys do the speculating. I think it's very interesting, and I think it's all you need to know that this dude is gone. But let's stick with it. If you read the article, and I haven't given you a chance to do so, Connor Orr gets even more specific. It's not just that the Niners can go on without Jimmy G. It's he lists 5 quarterbacks in the NFL that the Niners potentially would be interested in or would be a good fit on the Niners. He also says if the 49ers continue to lose, they could draft a guy. And if they're in position to take someone they like, they could draft a guy. But if they don't, 5 veterans Connor Orr listed. I'll list them right here. Of course, Kirk Cousins is 1. Matt Ryan is 2. Sam Darnold is 3. Dak Prescott is 4. And Derek Carr is 5. Now, keep in mind, this article was written on November 5th. Things have changed. Who knows if Derek Carr is available? But he did point out that the Raiders were trying to get Tom Brady. He didn't want to go there. And the Raiders wanted to get Kyler Murray. They didn't have a chance. John Gruden doesn't really seem very happy with Derek Carr. There's kind of a similarity between that relationship and the relationship between Jimmy and Kyle Shanahan. Anyway, I think it's interesting. If we're assuming, I'm not going to say it, but if we're assuming what we're assuming, then these 5 names are very interesting, and we should keep them in mind. It seems to me Kyle Shanahan thinks any quarterback who has a choice would want to come to the 49ers because of the run game, because of the defense, because of that right tackle, who's really not as bad as everyone. Why is everyone so hard on the right tackle? It's ridiculous. It's all Nick Mullens' fault, right? That's what I heard. No, so Kyle Shanahan clearly thinks any quarterback would want to come here, and the one that I think is interesting is Dak Prescott. Let's rank them first before we talk about if any of them are realistic. Let's rank them, and not in terms of value, just in terms of ability. Let's take the contracts out of it, and then we'll talk about contracts after. Cousins, Darnold, Ryan, Prescott, Carr. How do we rank that? I would go Prescott, 1, even with the broken leg. 2, Carr. 3, Cousins, and not with any enthusiasm. 4, Ryan. Voice cracked. 4, Ryan, because he's getting old. And 5, Sam Darnold, because I don't like him. I think he's a loser. Guy can't win a game. So that's the way I see it. Would you guys agree with that? Prescott 1, Carr 2. 3, Cousins. 4, Ryan. Is that fair? He didn't say Stafford, which is interesting. Okay, so we agree on that. I always thought Dak Prescott would be too expensive for the 49ers. I mean, it seemed like he wanted $40 million from Dallas. If the Niners could get him for what they're paying Jimmy Garoppolo, I would be down. I'd be all for that. If they could get Dak Prescott for $27 million a year, and Dak says, you know what? I don't want to be on Dallas. This team stinks. The coaches stink. I don't like Mike McCarthy. You got my leg broken. I have to do too much here. Let me go to San Francisco, hand the ball off, play for Kyle Shanahan, have my life be so much easier. I'll even take a little less to go to San Francisco. I don't know if Dak Prescott would do that. In fact, I don't think he would. But if he did, that would be wow. I mean, Dak Prescott to me is a lot like Steve Young. Is that, I mean, maybe that's a little too much, but I really think Dak Prescott's really good. I think he's been carrying that Dallas team for years. And when people knock him, it's really, they're knocking the team, not him. He carried that team. Love Dak Prescott. If they could get him, that would be a power move. See you, Jimmy. Derek Carr, I would also prefer him to Jimmy Garoppolo. He throws a better football. He protects himself better. He's more mobile. All of that. So, yeah, Derek Carr. Kirk Cousins, I don't know if he'd be available. And honestly, rather than get Kirk Cousins, he'd be fine. I would rather have Kyle Trask on a rookie deal than Kirk Cousins, honestly. And I like Kyle Trask. I like Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan, Sam Darnold, I think the Niners would be better off drafting a guy at that point. But if they could get Carr or Prescott for a reasonable price, and what's interesting is, hold on, I believe, real quick, the NFL's next round of TV rights, according to an article here, could lock in more than $100 billion in income for the league over the next 10 years. So if you sign a quarterback now, that contract might look real cheap and affordable in a couple of years if the salary cap spikes because of this new TV deal. Next year, the cap's going down. But if you get a quarterback for like 22, 23 million a year in 2-3 years, that could be like 8% of your cap or something crazy. So you don't want to pay too much for quarterbacks, but the salary cap is going to be in crazy fluctuation. $100 billion in revenue for the league, that could change things. So, yeah, Derek Carr, Dak Prescott, come on down. I'm thinking the Niners would like them to take some type of a discount, but I don't think you get players to do that when you're coming off a 5-11 season or whatever the Niners are going to be. So it'll be interesting to see who they can keep. I just don't think they keep Jimmy because of what this says right here. Kyle clearly thinks he can win without him. 8 passing attempts. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm speculating here. Let me stop speculating. I'm speculating. That's what I'm doing. So I'm going to stop. But I think Jimmy's gone. What do you think? Dak had the best line and wide receivers and still couldn't get to a Super Bowl. Yeah, well, he didn't have Kyle Shanahan. Your favorite coach. He didn't have Kyle. How about that? I know you guys like Kyle. Come on. The Kyle Shanahan effect. So I'm not saying they're going to get one of those starters, but it seems to me that the attitude might be, if Richmond Flowers is any indication, that the Niners have any number of options and it's easy to replace Jimmy Garoppolo. There's 5 guys at least in the league right now and probably 5 guys in the draft. See you later, alligator. Horatio says, will Mullens be here next year? I think he will be. I think Kyle Shanahan's going to want one quarterback in his quarterback room who knows the system and who's been here. Jimmy's too expensive to be a bridge quarterback. CJ Beathard should not be in the NFL. He has one of the worst quarterback ratings in the league. Nick Mullens has thrown for 4,186 yards and 15 starts as a backup. He has the most passing yards through 15 starts of any quarterback in NFL history other than Patrick Mahomes and Kurt Warner. Even though some fans, experts, and so-called pundits would like to run him out of the league because he's lost 10 of his 15 starts, he still actually had a terrific start to his career for any young quarterback. I mean, most young quarterbacks throw picks. Most young quarterbacks lose a lot. Peyton Manning threw 28 picks his rookie year, lost 13 games. Jeff Garcia threw 15 picks, 22 touchdown passes in his first 15 starts, lost 11 games, quarterback rating 84. Now, quarterback rating doesn't really match up throughout the eras because of rule changes and all that stuff, but Garcia 4-11. Imagine if Twitter was around in 2000 and 1999. People would have wanted him out. Bench him. He was 2-11 at one point, I believe. So, yeah, really, if you step back, you look, well, here's Nick Mullens, an undrafted guy who is physically limited, but he's also inexperienced. But in 15 starts, he's thrown for more yards than any 49ers quarterback ever other than Jeff Garcia. And you understand, if, say, Nick Mullens goes out this weekend and throws for 250, I don't even know what, 200. I think he probably is going to set the 49ers record for most passing yards in a 16-game span ever. I'm not saying he's a franchise quarterback. I'm not saying he should start next year. I'm not saying he's a starting quarterback. But to have that on your resume as a backup, what other backup has a resume like that? I'd rather have Nick Mullens and Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton's 33 and stinks. Nick Mullens is 15 starts into his career with promise. Andy Dalton ain't getting any better. There is hope for Nick Mullens, especially when you compare him to Jeff Garcia. Now, he doesn't have Jeff Garcia's athleticism. That's true. Higher completion percentage, higher yards per attempt, more yards. I don't know. I think he's going to be here next year, guys. He might be the third string quarterback, or he might be the first string quarterback if they draft a guy and he's not ready. If they draft Trey Lance and get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo, Nick Mullens is starting week 1. Trey Lance can't start week 1. If they draft Justin Fields, which they won't, he won't be available. Nick Mullens starting week 1. Now, if they draft Kyle Trask, he'll start week 1. Zach Wilson? I don't know about Zach. I love Zach Wilson. Heck of a player, heck of an athlete. Kind of reminds me of Deshaun Watson. I think that's the comparison. He's much more mobile than Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr, but I don't think he actually has the velocity on his throws that those two have. So he reminds me of Deshaun Watson. Difference is Deshaun Watson played in Power 5 football. He played the national championship. He won the game. Zach Wilson plays against defensive players who won't be in the NFL, and his offensive line is good. So he has the skill set of a Deshaun Watson, but can he play right away? I don't think so. So if you draft Zach Wilson next year, Nick Mullens starting week 1. I think he's coming back. I don't think Jimmy's coming back. Maybe if the cap were going up next year instead of going down, they'd keep him. But I think he's going to be a cap casualty. Good question, Horatio. Zach Wilson has no receivers. Yeah, he also is going up against no pass rush and no defensive backs. And what he does is he drops back and runs around and lets his, bogus receivers uncover because no DBs can cover any receivers for 5 seconds. He runs in circles. And maybe he can do that in the NFL the way Deshaun Watson does, because Deshaun Watson does that too. But maybe, I don't know. Deshaun Watson proved it at Clemson. Doing it at BYU, is that the same thing? I don't know. Maybe. He's already had shoulder surgery once. I like him. Look, the way I look at the quarterbacks in this draft, Trevor Lawrence can't miss. The two guys after him, Zach Wilson and Kyle Trask, I really like both of them. I think both of them are close to can't miss, although, Zach Wilson's hard to evaluate to me because they never faces a pass rush. And the one time he did, he lost Coastal Carolina. But I really like Zach Wilson. I say he's a top 5 pick. Kyle Trask, I think, is going to end up being a top 10 pick after he beats Alabama this weekend and does great at the Senior Bowl. And then after that, I think Justin Fields and Trey Lance are busts. They're going to be busts. And the reason I say that is because they have no pocket awareness. Neither. Both of them they just plant themselves in one spot and throw to wide open receivers. And they're oblivious to the rush. What happens is they're so big and strong that if a guy bumps into them, they just start running and become an athlete after that. That doesn't work in the NFL. You say Fields and Lance have everything. What they have is a strong arm and wheels. That's not everything in the NFL. A quarterback needs pocket awareness, vision, those things. And I don't see it from Lance and Fields. I don't. And maybe it's not their fault. I don't see the pocket awareness from either of them. You don't have to develop that part of your game at Ohio State. You hand the ball off. When you don't hand it off, no one's around you. You stand there. You got offensive linemen all over. You're playing in the Big Ten. There's no pass rush. Guys are wide open. You come into the NFL, it's like, wow, this is a lot harder. I'm under pressure in 60% of my snaps. I have to throw off platforms 55% of my snaps. Zach Wilson does stuff like that, but kind of because he wants to, not because he has to. He's just like playing around. Kyle Trask, what he does is he lines up in the shotgun. No run game. No Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like he's very much like Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow lined up in the shotgun and diced up the SEC, but he had a running back who ran for 1,400 yards and was a first-round pick in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He also had first-round picks at wide receiver in Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. No one held that against Joe Burrow. He had a great team. Now, he wasn't at, Alabama. I don't trust Alabama quarterbacks. I don't trust them. Those running backs they have are too good. That offensive line they have, the supporting cast is too good. They just hand off all the time, and then when they don't, there's a play-action deep bomb. No. Joe Burrow lined up in the shotgun and diced up the SEC. Period. He did it. That's exactly what Kyle Trask is doing. Lined up in the SEC, lined up in the shotgun, drops back, not play action, not a lot of handoffs, straight drop back passing. No deception. Here I go. Drop back, go. And he's dicing up the SEC. Now, the most recent game, he threw 2 picks. Joe Burrow had a game where he threw 2 picks against Ole Miss. I mean, Kyle Trask, he's thrown 40 touchdown passes and 5 picks in the SEC. Are you sure Zach Wilson could do that if he were on Florida right now? I don't know. I know Kyle Trask can do it because he's doing it. I know Joe Burrow could do it because he did it. So dropping back, no deception, dicing up the SEC. Yeah, he has great receivers. So did Joe Burrow. No one held that against Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had Justin Jefferson, and who's great. Could be the rookie of the year. And Jamar Chase, who's even better, hasn't come out yet. Kyle Pitts is terrific. The other wide receivers they have, number 8 and number 1, really, really, really good. You could argue all 3 of those guys are as good or better than Trask still. He's dropping back and tearing up the SEC. He's a safe pick. He's going to be a good player. I don't care that he's not mobile. Ben Roethlisberger isn't mobile. Wasn't mobile. Never was. This guy's the next Ben Roethlisberger. Wilson might be the next Deshaun Watson. Lance and Fields are busts. Calling it right now. All right, let's see what Sean wanted to say. Looking for Sean. When Carr is off, he really is off. Mulling over Mullens. Ryan would be great here. He can also move, but expensive. School at guard or center? School at guard. School's too tall. He's like 6'7". I would put School at guard. I would take Carr over Jimmy G. Carr is more physically gifted. Although, to be honest, he's terrible unless he has great pass protection. Ask Raider fans. He needs a great offensive line, and the Raiders have always gone to great lengths to give him that. Colton Miller, Trent Brown, Kelechi Osemele back in the day, they've gone really all out. Rodney Hudson. Derek Carr, you think he wants to come here and play behind Colton McKivitz and Mike McGlinchey? Nah, I think he'll just stay in with the Raiders. Keep throwing to Darren Waller, hand it off to Josh Jacobs. I don't know if the Niners can really offer much more than the Raiders right now. Matt Ryan here, yeah, he's just old, and he's not going to make the Niners offensive line look any better either. He'll just be another guy who gets hit 12 times a game. So, yeah, that's what I would say. And then I would say School at guard. Actually, I would put School at right tackle right now and sit McGlinchey. We've seen enough of McGlinchey. He's not going to get better this year. He's about 30 pounds underweight. He needs to hit the squat rack in the offseason, and he needs to hit In-N-Out Burger. Nothing's going to change for him in the next 3 games. Let's see School. Goodbye, Mike. I don't know how the Niners fix their own line, guys. I didn't create this problem. I can't fix every problem. Not every problem is fixable. They need a left guard, a center, a right guard, a right tackle. How do you do that in one offseason? You don't. So you just tell yourself that it's not that big of an issue, and your fans believe you. Imagine Carr with Kyle in his ear. Also, McFloppy would love to sing, "Baby, You Can Drive My Car." No, I think Derek Carr on this team would be really a big step up, a huge step up. I think Derek Carr could win an MVP, and the Niners would win a lot of games. And again, think of it this way. People always say Kyle Shanahan, they always show his record with Jimmy G. You could look at that also as his record with a starting quarterback. You know, Brian Hoyer, Nick Mullens, CJ Beathard, they're all backups. When Kyle Shanahan has a starting quarterback, his record is like, he has like a 750 winning percentage. It's not Jimmy G. It's like a starting caliber quarterback. To me, Derek Carr is better than Jimmy G. If you give Kyle Shanahan, Derek Carr, 13-3, 14-2. I don't know if they win the Super Bowl because that's on Kyle. He needs to stop calling passes and run situations when he has the lead in the Super Bowl. That's on you. But Carr, I think, could win an MVP, take the team back to the Super Bowl. Yeah. I think Kyle just needs a starting caliber quarterback. Mullens is trying to play like Favre. Both were turnover machines. Something to it. I mean, you look at Mullens and you think that should be a noodle arm game manager. He's not a noodle arm game manager. He's one of the most aggressive downfield passers in the league. He is. That's what he's always been. He's going to throw like he's a little bit like Kurt Warner in the sense that he's going to throw for a lot of yards whether or not he's throwing picks. And, you know, Kurt Warner won a lot of games when he had Marshall Faulk, Oz Hakeem, Isaac Bruce, and Torrey Holt. Mullens hasn't had that kind of supporting cast yet, and still he's about to throw for 42, 43, 4,400 yards in his first 16 games as a starter. That's remarkable. Remarkable. But I'm not here to sell you on Nick Mullens. I'm not. I swear. He is noodle arm, though. Well, he throws downfield really well, unlike Jimmy. Who are the most important upcoming UFAs on the roster the 49ers need to bring back? Blah, 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 blah. Well, Trent Williams, otherwise they have no left tackle. Kyle Juszczyk, otherwise they have no fullback. They're not going to bring back Jaquiski Tart. I'm sure they'd love to bring back Jason Verrett, but I don't think they can afford him. Got to bring back Emmanuel Mosley, but he's restricted. Keller Witherspoon can go. Richard Sherman can go. Kerry Hyder, you'd love to bring back, but you probably can't afford him. Tom Compton can go. Jerick McKinnon can go. Tevin Coleman can go. Kendrick Bourne can go. Nice player. Goodbye. Thanks a lot. Just let some other team overpay for you to be their number 3 or number 2 guy. You're a number 4 receiver at best who drops. You dropped 4 passes in the last game, Kendrick. 4. Kendrick can go. Jordan Reed can go. Enough. That guy runs the wrong route like every other play, and he doesn't block. Yeah, CJ Beathard can go. And they got to re-extend Fred Warner. Did I miss anyone? Keep Mostert. Keep Mostert. Jimmy G's throws don't die on him as much as Mullens. Oh, they do. They certainly do. And the thing about Jimmy G is he has never been a good downfield thrower. Everything is 15 yards and in with Jimmy G. Nick Mullens is one of the better downfield throwers in the league, I think. Or he's definitely the best downfield thrower on the 49ers. Mullens will have a huge game on Sunday. The narrative will change. Yeah. I mean, if he can get any pass protection, he should dice up that awful Dallas secondary. Rashard Robinson is a starting corner on Dallas. Brandon Ayuk is going to roast this dude for 150 yards. Only problem is Mike McGlinchey is the 12th man. You know, you talk about the 12th man in a defense, it's usually the crowd noise. There is no crowd noise this year. This year, every team that plays the Niners has a 12th man. His name is Mike McGlinchey, and he's out for blood. Anytime the Niners drop back and try to throw the ball, Mike McGlinchey swats that ball out of there. You know what I mean? He lets the guy beat him. He is a double agent. He is working for the enemy. Someone, I don't know what's going on. He has a vendetta against Nick Mullens. All right, guys. It's 12:30. It's lunchtime. I'm going to be back at 3 with the round table with the crew. Salah and some players are going to talk in a minute. Why do you think everyone in sports is a Dem? Oh, man. Are they? I don't know. I don't know, man. You got me with that one, but thanks for asking. I don't think everyone in sports is a Democrat. I think most are, and the ones who aren't are afraid to say that they aren't. So, I don't know. Question? I would have to take a poll. I would have to use science. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. I'll be back in 2.5 hours. See you then.